How to record, render, and export a 60 FPS Atari 2600 game, coming up next. This might seem like a no-brainer to some, and there are many ways to skin this cat, but I've had trouble in the past trying to record newer homebrew and some of the older Supercharger Atari 2600 games that use every other frame of the 60 Hz TV timer to double the amount of objects in the game. Let's not worry too much about why I had trouble in the past, but let's go straight to the solution I have come up with to create high-quality, small file size 60 FPS 2600 recordings. The tools we are going to use are all free or inexpensive. We're going to record with OBS, create a video with PowerDirector 365, and render a final file with Handbrake. Chaotic Grill, a Burger Time homebrew for the Atari 2600 by Atari Age user Splendid Nut, is the game I've been showing so far. Notice that you see some flicker on the objects and score, but not much. The flicker comes from the game placing objects on the screen every other frame, and must be viewed at 60 FPS so the human eye can merge the two frames into one almost whole frame. This must be recorded and rendered at 60 FPS, or the flicker will be very noticeable. If this game is recorded or rendered at 30 FPS or lower, the frames will not merge and the viewer will see one frame or the other, but not both merged. We're going to start by opening up our OBS video settings and making sure the common FPS value is 60. Next, I'll start recording. I have Launchbox set up and I'm going to record the full screen with Chaotic Grill playing in a window, only because I've not yet figured out the command line parameter to open up Stella in full screen in Launchbox. Don't be fooled by the preview window we see here in OBS. Even though it looks like the screen is flickering at 30 FPS, it's actually recording at 60 FPS. You've already seen a lot of this game recording earlier, so let's cut it here and move to the next step. The tool we're going to use for video editing is PowerDirector 365, my absolute favorite video tool. But really, this can be done with any video editor. PowerDirector is not free, but it's my personal choice for very nice video, photo, and music editing tools. The big thing we want to note here is that whatever program you're using, make sure that the timeline frame rate is set to 60. Now we're going to import the video file we created in OBS. I renamed the file to chaoticgrill.mkv. Once we import the file, we're going to drag it to the timeline and crop it to show the game in full screen. It's very simple to do this in PowerDirector 365, as well as most video editors. If your editor doesn't have a freeform crop tool setting, then 3x4 is probably best for 2600 games. So now we have a short video on our timeline edited to our needs. I'm going to pop this out of the preview window. As you can see, the preview pane still shows some flicker, but don't let this fool you. Our export will be at 60 FPS with very little flicker. Now it's time to export. The thing we want to be sure of is that we're exporting in full HD at 60p, if this is possible in your video editor. Now, of course, old 8-bit and 16-bit games don't need full HD, so we'll be scrunching down the output if needed after this export. If your video editing platform makes extremely small HD 60 FPS videos, you will not need the final step with Handbrake. I chose the file name chaoticgrill60.mkv, and now we're going to export. I'll save you the pain of watching the export. It's complete. If you are fine with the exported file size and it fits your needs, you don't need the next step. I, for one, hate huge files and want them to be as efficient and small as possible. Handbrake, a free video transformation tool, can be used to scrunch down videos and keep them high quality if needed. Here we're taking a look at Chaotic Grill 60 to make sure it's running at 60 FPS. Yes, it certainly is. This only 1 minute of video is 25 megs, but we can make it much smaller than that and retain the quality. Now let's open up Handbrake and drag in our source file, chaoticgrill60.mkv. Next, let's set it to create a pretty standard HD render, but make sure it's 60 FPS. Handbrake can be used in ultra slow render mode to create incredibly high quality videos at small file sizes. We're not going to need to do that for this video, but it's available to you if you find the need. I sped up the video here to not waste your valuable time watching the render. Alright, it's done. Let's take a look now at the 4 meg version of the same Chaotic Grill 25 meg file. As you can probably tell, it looks pretty much the same as the 25 meg file. Now let's look at them side by side. On the left is the new Handbrake export that is 4 meg and 60 FPS HD. On the right is the 25 meg HD 60 FPS from PowerDirector. They have some flicker, of course, but it's the desired 60 FPS flicker that the developer put into the game. For comparison, here is the same file exported at 30 FPS from Handbrake. This huge amount of flicker in the score and the sprites is what we're trying to avoid. Alright, that's it for this time. Until next time, have fun playing with your choice of video editing software and exporting at 60 FPS in the vertical blank. Please like and subscribe if you want to help this channel grow.
We were children of the Silicon Revolution, an X generation conscripted to fight the console and home computer wars. A product of an analog 70s childhood, we came of digital age in the 80s, believing we could affect the world 8 bits at a time. Armed with joysticks, full-stroke keyboards, Jolt Cola, and MTV haircuts, we proceeded into the vertical blank. There, we stayed up late at night, devising incantations from D&D rulebooks and beginner's all-purpose symbolic instruction code. Video games were the match, and programming was the fuse, as the infinite possibilities of the digital world exploded into the internet age to come. We are Generation Atari.
Into the vertical blank.
We are the forgotten generation, a misplaced slice of the 20th century when birth rates were as low as expectations for the future. We lived under the threat of constant nuclear annihilation, playing outside, but always inherently knowing the future was indoors. We are the second half of Generation X. We were some of the first to play video games, to program home computers, and record CDs to cassette mixtapes. Our generation was nourished by new wave, imperfect punk rock, and John Hughes movies. We built Web 1.0 from the ground up using our childhood 8-bit and 16-bit programming skills. They call us Gen X. We prefer the vertical blank generation, where magic happens between the lines, because that's where we live, love, and thrive. We are Generation Atari.
Into the vertical blank.
The vertical blank is the space between the last line of the current frame and the first line of the next, where off-screen calculations create a cathode ray tube display. Exists literally between the lines, invisible yet all-seeing, in a void where magic occurs that is never seen, only experienced. The vertical blank is an omniscient force containing the nuances that make our nostalgia a reality. It's the transcendental location that holds our best memories, biggest joys, greatest fears, and our most terrible losses. You've been warned. You can stop this tape now, turn around, for once you've entered, there may be no escape. All the scan lines have been written. It's time to enter the vertical blank.
Into the vertical blank.
Next frame calculated. Prepare to write new data. V blank ending.